Hi, today I'm with Zach and Anna from StartAbroad. They have quite a few moves under their belt and started this relocation company to help expats move abroad. So we'll definitely go through the highs, the lows, the expat mistakes that people have made. And yeah, go into details. So hi, how are you?
Hi, thanks so much for having us.
We're excited to be here.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, you definitely have a lot of moves under your belt. It's quite crazy. Let's talk about how it started.
Okay, so I'm Anna, and my first move abroad was actually immediately after finishing university at the United States. American. I moved to
Okay.
England for my very first job, teaching in a boarding school. I came back to the US for 8 months, and then I moved again to Kenya for
Wow.
for work
Big shift.
again.
Yeah.
And that is where our paths crossed. So I'm not
Why
sure
did you move to Kenya?
for a job with
All
a really
right.
great NGO. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm Zach. Out of college, I went to the Peace Corps. I was in the Dominican Republic for about 4 years in total. And then I went back to grad school because I wanted to work in international development. And I was hired out of grad school by Anna's company. She actually did my second round interview,
Uh-huh.
which was maybe inappropriate, that we then ended up together.
It was long after that. It
She
was
was the
very
HR
far
lead at
after
this company, so she would know if it was above board or not. But yeah, we lived in Kenya, where we met, and
uh-huh.
we got together, and then we moved to Rwanda together, and that's the
Okay.
first time we lived together. And then during COVID, we kind of got accidentally stuck in the U.S. We were supposed to go to two weddings in the U.S. and be there for a week, and we ended up being there a year. So what we
Wow.
packed was like two wedding suits. What I packed was like two wedding suits and like 7 pairs of underwear,
Yeah,
and we got
practical.
stuck in yeah, got stuck in the U.S. for a year, and then decided we wanted to kind of do something different, and
Mhm.
so ultimately we ended up living in Costa Rica, where we live now.
Okay. So yeah, quite a journey. I'm curious, like what started those first move abroad when you're quite young and you're out of school? What's the motivator to go to Kenya? Because it's not an easy move. It's definitely very exotic, very different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think for both of us, it was this passion that we had around the work that we were doing.
Okay.
So we both have a background in international development. And I don't want to speak for you, but I think it's true to say that we both felt like it was important to be in the place where that work was being done to really understand it.
Right.
And so it made a lot of sense to us given what we wanted to kind of dedicate our lives to.
I think, and maybe this resonates with yourself, Pauline, but when, from a young age too, we had the opportunities to travel abroad and kind of fell in love with it
Okay.
and fell in love with learning about other cultures
Mhm.
and how much you can learn from those experiences.
Hmm.
And so I think we both had a passion for living in different cultures and exploring different cultures also. And
Mhm.
then we
Okay.
both felt it was really important to be kind of helping people to help themselves.
Hmm.
That's ultimately led to the work we do now, but also led us to those initial kind of jobs.
Initial moves. Yeah, and
Yeah.
working NGO definitely there is that giving back piece and volunteering. Of course, that's very much involved.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
And
And in those moves specifically, like moving to Africa, Kenya, Rwanda, and then Costa Rica, like what did you find so interesting? I'm sure there was loads, but also challenging and difficult.
Yeah, so it was very different, I would say, the first couple of moves because those were all for jobs. So we had this like built-in network of support, right? Um,
your job handles a lot of the logistics. So where are you going
Mm,
to live, the visa.
yeah.
that actually used to be my job, was like handling everyone else's like situations.
Move.
So yeah, it's you show up and not only do you kind of have a built-in social network because you have all these colleagues and you're kind of living near them because um, at this company where we met, we actually would organize housing for new international arrivals who are employees.
Okay.
So it's you kind of have like your housing figured out, your visa figured out, like your taxes figured out, all of these things. When we
Nice.
moved, yeah,
Yeah.
really nice. When
Also,
we
when you're young, you'll just go and you'll figure it out, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you have no clue about the admin.
Yeah, and you're like, it'll work out. And then as you get older, uh,
Well, when we moved to Costa Rica, it was the first time we weren't moving for another jobs, like somebody else's employment offer. We wanted to move because we loved the place and we were moving on our own. And that's a very different experience.
no one's helping you
Yeah.
out. So you have to figure out all the
No,
logistics.
you're
You're
alone.
working in a different country and maybe a language you don't speak. So
Yeah.
there's all the logistical challenge.
Yeah.
And then there's also a lot of the little challenges that you don't expect. So there's what we consider like an emotional roller coaster, right? And even though
Yeah.
now I've moved 5 times,
Yeah.
it still got me when I moved to Costa
But
Rica.
it still comes. Yeah.
Yeah. The first few days you're on a honeymoon, you're like, this is amazing. I love this place. And then something happens and you're like, this was terrible. What did I do? I made the worst decision. And then there are really strong fluctuations and eventually it balances out, but it's challenging just from an emotional perspective those first 3 to 6 months, and people aren't always patient with themselves or didn't expect it. And then even little things like when I first moved to Kenya, I didn't know where to like get food and didn't really know how to ask people. So I was like in a house. My roommate at the time had like one apple. So I ate the apple. That's all I kind of ate for a day. So there's the big logistical challenges, especially when you're moving on your own. There's these bureaucracies, and then there's the emotional challenges, and there's the day-to-day challenges. Moving abroad can, hopefully it's ultimately worth it for you, but it is certainly a transition and a challenge.
Definitely. I think you've really expressed it, that range of emotions of going from the very highs and the lows. It can just be a tiny, tiny thing in your day, but that's so different to the norm where you knew everything. Suddenly you're like a kid starting from scratch. And it's frustrating, especially as an adult, I think.
Well, you're used to being competent and being able to get things done and knowing how things work, and you move to a place where things just work differently. And part of the reason we're moving to these places is because they work differently and we like that or are interested by it. But
and then on top of it, you might speak the language and sound like a toddler. So it really is like being a child.
When we moved to Costa Rica, we were
beginner level,
yeah, people were like, and then like patting us on the head.
Completely. All right. So you moved to Costa Rica. Let's talk about Start Abroad, where this project and company arise from.
Well, it was what Anna was mentioning before is when we started to look at moving to a place without the support of a company, we wanted to hire somebody. So if we were 23 when we moved, we would have gone and figured it out, but we weren't. We wanted to start a family. We needed to do things correctly. So we actually looked for people to help us and realized that there weren't necessarily the services out there that we were looking for. And at the same time, we were doing research and hearing all these horror stories about people that wanted to move abroad and really needed to for different reasons and were getting scammed or were just so overwhelmed that they were never getting started. And with Anna's background, especially as HR lead and having managed so many people's moves, we thought we could actually help people. And so we started Start Abroad, and the idea is that we're a full service relocation company offering a lot of the same support that someone would get from a company if they're moving, but to individuals that are making the move. We try to create the service that we wish would have existed when we were moving.
Yeah.
We now offer that service in Costa Rica, where we are now, also in Panama, in Portugal, and in Spain.
Okay, so a couple of locations today.
Yeah.
And so what is the range? So you mentioned like the admin, the visa, I guess the housing piece. What's a little bit more the wider services that you had dreamed about at the time?
Yeah, well, it does vary a little bit by country because it depends on what the requirements are. But, it'll be if you need any kind of identification numbers set up, then we will include those. If you need to open a bank account, if that's a requirement to move to the country for visa, we'll open that. In some countries where it's really common, most people are going to want to buy a car. We can assist with that. We also will assist with the tax piece by connecting you with our accountant to have a consultation. Yeah,
And
especially important for Americans, I will
yeah,
say. Yeah.
and those are the logistical pieces. And then what
Yeah.
we strive to offer too is some kind of just emotional support. We do
Mm.
for a lot of our clients. You're having consistent coaching calls, and so we're getting on calls, and you're moving to Portugal, and you're feeling really
Right.
overwhelmed. And so what we try to do is break it down step by step. We have checklists and things to help not make it this big overwhelming thing, but to break it into manageable chunks. And then we're coaching people through that and answering questions as they come up. So not only do we want to kind of take your hand and guide you through the logistical piece, but also just kind of managing the whole thing.
Yeah. And then I will say there's additional type of support depending on the person and what they need. And like, especially who's in the family, right?
Mm.
Like, do
Yeah.
you care a lot about healthcare? Do you need to understand what prescriptions are available and what specialists to work with? Okay, we could help with that. Do you have a pet that you want to
Yeah.
be
Pets.
moving abroad? Okay, like that's an important member of the family. How are you going to accomplish
True.
that?
Yeah.
Right? Do you have kids?
Children,
Like,
schools.
what
Yeah,
schools
finding
should be right
schools.
for your family? Yeah, all these types of things.
Yeah. Yeah. And then finding the neighborhood that matches all of
That's a big thing that we help people think through. If they sometimes people will come to us and already know where they want to move, and then we just help facilitate finding a rental, for instance, because that can be very difficult. But then sometimes they say, "Look, I want to live in the greater San Jose area. My kids are 7 and 10. Where would make sense for me?" And we talk about schools and neighborhoods, and that's the place to start.
Yeah, I think it's nice to have that point of contact that knows the area. It can just guide you through at least the first steps that can be a hassle when you don't know the right neighborhood, you don't know where the schools are, you don't know that, yeah, this process exists and is necessary to actually find a house or something, just in terms of having a bank account or having the
Yeah,
ID switched and things like
right.
that, for sure.
Absolutely.
And so regarding the pets, I think it's something we never talked about on the podcast, but what are like the usual steps that people have to go through if they want to move with their pet?
Well, first I'd say we've helped hundreds of people move abroad, and even though it's a really stressful process, people are always the most anxious about the pet piece. They're always also most willing to spend the most money on the pet piece.
It's true.
Just very consistent.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, okay, obviously it's going to be a little different depending on whatever country you're moving to, but generally speaking, you have to make sure that your pet is going to meet the import requirements of the new country, which is usually
Okay.
vaccinations, most importantly, rabies. If you're moving to some places, a microchip, that's important in the EU specifically. And then getting this form completed. So you have to get a health certificate filled out by a vet
Okay.
within a very specific window of time before
All
this
right.
pet gets on a
The
plane
flight,
and
yeah.
it gets to the country. So that's always the stressful part. That's like
Okay.
this timing of, okay,
Yeah, the time frame.
yeah, I've got to get the vet to fill this out. And then I sometimes in some places, I have to get it sent away to be endorsed by this other government agency. And then like, how long is that going to take? When am I going to get it back? We work with a lot of Americans specifically, and I always have to tell someone, if this process is working perfectly and as it should, you are not going to get your certificate back in the mail until 48 to 72 hours before you get on the plane. Like
Wow.
that's when everything's working exactly as it should. So, this is going to be stressful. So just like
Of
be
course.
prepared
Yeah.
for that.
And they're already anxious about it.
Yeah.
And so our main clientele come from the US, Canada, and the UK. And so
Okay.
most of the time people are getting on flights. And so one of the things to keep in mind too is a lot of airlines have policies that they won't take pets as baggage or cargo during certain times of the year. So if it's too cold
Really?
in any of the airports, or if it's too hot.
Especially if it's too hot.
Yeah. So if it's like
Okay.
deep summer or deep winter, it could affect your planning. So those are just things to consider about your moving.
And then, I mean, I don't
Interesting.
know how much detail you want to get into, but we could talk
For
all the options.
Might not be the full focus of the episode.
Yeah. Do you want to move your pet on a private jet?
Yeah, so
we can
that's-
talk about that. If you don't
yeah.
Okay, yeah, there's first class service for pets also. Then.
Yes, truly there is.
And people will not buy, upgrade their seat to premium economy for themselves, but they'll buy
But they'll do it for the. Well, it's the last baby of the family usually. It often is. All right. And so what about the biggest mistakes, or I want to say like frequent questions that you would get, but more the mistakes that an expat could make?
There's a lot of people that come to us after trying to do these things themselves.
Okay.
And it's because they'll come in and, for instance, coming to Portugal, for instance, they'll try to do everything and they'll find a lot of information online. There's so much information online, which is great, but it also is a negative in that a lot of it is outdated, a lot of it's wrong, a lot of it's, these things are changing all the time.
All the time.
And so somebody might go through the whole process because technically they can do it on their own. And they found something online that said they could do it this way and they did it that way. And then they were rejected and they have to start the process all over again. It's actually very common. Or they found somebody on a Facebook group that said they could help them find a rental, and it was a scam. And now they're out £5,000 or whatever it is. And so trying to do it on your own is certainly possible, and a lot of people do, but just a lot of the mistakes are from trusting the wrong information or trusting outdated information or just getting hooked into a scam online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think doing the thorough research and checking the sources is definitely good.
You got to check the sources, and you got to make sure the sources are current, because they'll find something and not see that it was from 3 years ago, when the rules with Portuguese immigration have changed completely.
And to be totally honest with you, some of these rules are changing on like a every 3 months basis. So it has to be like current. Otherwise, you can get turned away from your appointment you've spent months preparing for. Yeah. And that's really frustrating.
And then you have to get all the documents issued.
Start from scratch,
and it becomes a lot more expensive than it would have been to just work with somebody up front.
Of course.
And then there's like little, depending on the country, there's all these little mistakes. In Costa Rica, the car market is wild. And there's all these scams, and people will buy a bad car, and that's like a $15,000 mistake because they didn't know how the car market works in some of the scams.
I think that kind of generally what it boils down to is you need to have people that you trust who can advise you about how systems work in these new countries, right? So whether it's us or like, is there someone that is truly like trustworthy and looking out for you that can explain
it's on your side.
That's on your side. In one of these countries that can be like, okay, and this is how it works if you want to sign a rental contract. And this is how it works if you want to buy a car.
And in general, just to a point that we were talking about earlier, I think a mistake that people can make is just not being patient. Or not managing their expectations. So some people will move and they just want to move the US or the UK or Canada to Portugal, but get the benefits of living in Portugal. And the idea is like Portugal is very different from how our home countries operate. And we need to conform to how those countries operate and not expect that they're going to conform to us. And so, for instance, Costa Rica, they don't value like ease of commerce the way the US does. So like the US and the UK and Canada are set up to allow us to spend money as quickly as possible. Relationships are business relationships. And in Costa Rica, they don't really care about the speed or ease of commerce. And it's personal relationships, not business relationships. Mm-hmm. So as an American, I came here and I just was like, well, I just want to give you money to do this thing. But that's kind of rude here. And so then I would get really frustrated. I'd be like, well, why doesn't it? But that's not the point, right? Like I moved to Costa Rica because it's Costa Rica, because Pura Vida. It's not going to change for me. And I shouldn't expect it to.
Everyone goes through cultural adaptation.
Yeah. And it's part of the process and the journey for sure.
It's wonderful and frustrating. And
so just, knowing that that's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
And remembering as you are frustrated with differences that you are not used to, that oftentimes those are the exact differences that drew you to the place.
Totally.
Also, yeah.
Well said.
Yeah.
It's a good way to keep your patience and just move forward.
Yeah.
Accept and see the growth.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to add on the topic?
Just generally, I know that you're a third culture kid, and we're raising we had a daughter once we moved to Costa Rica, and one of the reasons we decided to continue living abroad was to raise her in a different culture.
Okay.
And she's going to grow up being a native Spanish speaker, and
That's great.
in a culture we're just really excited about imprinting
Yeah.
and
That is like just really welcoming and I
family
think
oriented.
like more tranquil.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
like a lot of people in the town know her and are looking out for her,
Wow.
Yeah, she has
That's really nice. That sense of community.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's wonderful. One of our neighbors too, like their whole family is adopted our daughter, and so she's all over there all the time. And
She gets invited to Easter. We're not.
yeah, we're
But
not
she
invited
goes
to
to there.
She's there.
She goes.
We just get pictures.
You get a date day.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So what were you going to ask about?
I just wanted to point that out that I know that was part of your experience, and
Yeah.
one of the things that we're really excited about in terms of like raising our daughter in that way, and we really see the value in it.
Yeah, I think there's definitely, I think as a kid, you don't realize it. I mean, when you're young, but later as an adult, for sure, I did see like all the what I learned just in terms of languages, but also that mindset of being capable to adapt, to understand different cultures and have that sort of curiosity and open-mindedness towards it. I think there's also definitely a piece around just being more adventurous and a bit daring with the unknown than you would in another situation.
That's definitely something we want to encourage.
Yeah. I'm sure Costa Rica is a good place for that.
I was just speaking with a client this morning who said they're moving to Portugal, but they were saying like, "Oh, you're in Costa Rica. I love Costa Rica. Costa Rica is beautiful, but everything is dangerous." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's
Is
like,
it?
"Well, I was walking on this nature trip and there was such a cute little frog. And we asked the guide, oh, it's such a cute little
That's
frog.
true.
Look at that little red frog." And the guide's like, "Don't touch that.
No.
It'll hurt you."
That's a poison dart frog.
Yeah.
That's true.
When you live in the jungle, you have to be careful.
Yeah.
And bugs.
Yeah. And bug. I mean, yeah, Australia is the same. South Africa.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's exciting. I'm sure like for her going to visit family in the US is probably a bit of a shock and very different in
It's
terms
funny.
of
We
lifestyles.
just went to visit a family for Thanksgiving, and for her going to the US, for us it's like, oh, we're going to the US. For her, it's like amazing.
Going on a trip.
And she gets to get on a plane,
and it's cold for the first time in her life.
Yeah. Also.
But actually, I mean, to that point, it is interesting to see like one of the differences in like cultures and what's accessible is like in the US, things are so easy to buy or get. So all of a sudden it's just like there are so many toys and like so many like gifts available, so many things on the shelves that you can point to and be like, I want that thing.
You can just get it in like a day.
Yeah, it's crazy, honestly. And then we get back here and we're like, okay, well, I think we've probably stashed away enough toys in the closet to last us for 6 months.
Yeah, you stock up on
very slowly over time.
Stock up on everything before.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move to your recommendations then in Costa Rica.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we live in there's a lot of recommendations for Costa Rica.
So we'll answer the question at hand first, which is like in our town, a restaurant, a cafe.
We live in Nuevo Arenal, Costa Rica. So there's a big lake in the northwest. It's called Arenal Lake. It's near La Fortuna, which probably a lot of people have heard of. So it's a very small town.
It is, however, has a good number of restaurants per capita, like for the size of the town.
Yeah, like really good restaurants.
And I think our favorite one is called Gingerbread. It's on the lake road as you're approaching town, and it's just delicious. Oh, pro tip, ask for the chef's menu if you go.
Yeah, the chef's menu, they'll just bring you out a bunch of stuff. Yeah. And so when we first moved to Costa Rica, we didn't know exactly where we wanted to live. And so we picked 5 towns and we spent a week in each of them.
Oh, that's great when you can do it.
Yeah, right. If you have the flexibility, getting a long-term rental or buying property is a big investment that's often hard to get out of. And so what we hate to see is people that say, well, I went on vacation to Costa Rica for a week 5 years ago.
I loved it, yeah.
And then you buy a $300,000 property. Don't do that. Go rent first. live in a few different areas. So we checked out 5 different places.
We did not end up in the place we thought we would.
Thought we were going to be on the beach
Oh.
like everyone does. And then it was just like hot and expensive. And we came up here, so we lived like higher up on the lake, and it was green, and
it was a lot cooler.
It was like 10 degrees cooler. And we went on a kayaking tour, and the kayaking guide was like, oh, we're going to go to Gingerbread, this restaurant tonight. Like, there's live music. So we were in this beautiful lake town with the jungle, and there was like monkeys and birds in the trees.
Toucans, everything.
And we went to this like really nice bar restaurant where there was live music and delicious food. And we were like, this place kind of has it all, even if it's like very rural and quiet.
It didn't hurt that the restaurant owner was giving out free shots to everyone.
And so we were like, well, we want to try out this town first. So we rented a place for a month, then we rented a place for a year, and then we eventually bought a house. That was a long way to say that Gingerbread, which Anna just recommended, was one of the reasons we decided to live in this town.
It was great. And now we go back all the time. And actually, the woman who did the kayaking tour for us made our baby's quilt. Like, yeah. Like a beautiful quilt.
That's cute.
Anyway.
So yeah, I understand the community side you were talking about now.
Yeah, exactly. So that's our recommendation in town.
Okay.
Our carte blanche. I went to Paris. I know how to say it correctly.
Oh, no. Would be...
Well, we have different ones.
I'm sure we have different ones. Okay, I do want to talk about beaches because I feel like a lot of people coming on visits to Costa Rica want to know about beaches. I have 2 favorite beaches that I want to mention. They're both in Guanacaste, which is like the northern Pacific, because it's the region closer to us where we go regularly. One of them is Playa Conchal, which is like really beautiful when it comes to white sand. If you aren't staying in this like kind of fancy resort that has direct access, you have to walk along the beach to get there, but it's beautiful. It has nice shade. The water is like crystal clear. It is so stunning. So that's one. And then the other one, I almost don't want to say.
Don't say it.
I almost
don't say it. I veto you.
It's a hidden gem.
Nice. Get on a call with us and I'll tell you.
Secret favorite beach.
Okay.
Book the free consultation and you'll get the secret spots.
Yeah, exactly. My favorite beach is in the South Pacific. So there's obviously 2 coasts in Costa Rica. There's the Caribbean side, which is really cool, but kind of under, like, less visited. And the Pacific side is a lot more popular and more developed. So Guanacaste is the north. And then the South Pacific, so the other, closer to Panama, to me is stunning. And there's a beach called Marino Ballena. Maybe people have seen pictures of the Whale Tail Beach. It's called the Whale Tail Beach. It's Marino Ballena. Mm-hmm. It is this like lush tropical jungle mountain that rolls directly into this beach. And it's, to me, like the top 3 prettiest beaches I've ever seen in my life.
It's incredible.
I saw manta rays there. Okay. I was
like in the waves.
Like in the
swimming.
Oh, wow.
Manta rays. I did get stung by a jellyfish.
Me too. Yeah, same jellyfish, I think.
But he was ornery that day. But besides that, I think that's just an incredible beach.
It is like a national park that extends into the ocean. Like most of the national parks actually in the ocean. So it's just incredibly
well preserved.
well preserved.
It's next to a town called Uvita, which a lot of people will have heard of.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll note them in the comments and notes for sure. Well, thank you so much for sharing. We'll put everything in the comments, so the link to Start Abroad. There's also going to be a link for a free consultation with you guys. And